You're on an 8-lane freeway with moderate traffic at 55 miles per hour. You're passing a large tractor trailer and pull over as soon as you clear the front of it. Suddenly, the pickup truck in front of you slams on his brakes. You stop in time to avoid hitting the pickup, but the tractor trailer crashes into you from the rear.
Webster defines risk as the possibility of loss or injury. Therefore, driving a motor vehicle is a risk. For some drivers, risk comes with the job, and often the greater the risk, the greater the reward. However, for most drivers, risk is undesirable and expensive. Therefore, prudent drivers make every effort to control and, when possible, reduce the risk. As you know, a certain amount of risk is inherent to the driving task. Exposure to incompetent drivers, environmental conditions, emotional stress, and so forth are examples of the risk associated with motor vehicle operation. Although the adage, the greater the risk, the greater the reward, does not apply to most drivers, rewards in the form of personal and professional mobility, transportation of goods and services, and financial gain cannot be realized without a degree of risk. Thus, acceptance of risk is a necessity of vehicle operation. However, it is important to remember that risk selection, limitation, and control are essential to a driver's survival. Driver behavior research shows that most drivers do not deliberately take risks, but do so through impatience, anxiety, and familiarity. This program is designed to measure driving risk control. At the completion of the program, you will have the opportunity to analyze your driving risk control. The traffic scenes you are now viewing were video recorded with a camera located above the steering wheel of a camera vehicle. During the program, you will be shown 25 traffic scenes that apply to the following 5 driving risk characteristics: passing, yielding, following, speed control, and environmental factors. At the time the scene is being shown, the camera vehicle driver will make a comment regarding the scene. For example, in this scene, the driver comment is,
"I have sufficient time and space to pass."
During the program, you will have the opportunity to agree or disagree with the driver's comment. Before the start of the program, you were given a driving risk control response form, like the one shown on the screen. Please be sure you have entered your name and the date at the top of the form. Note that the form has 25 agree-disagree response lines. If you agree with the driver's comment, circle agree. If you do not agree with the driver's comment, circle disagree. Ready? Begin traffic scene number 1.
I have sufficient time and space to pass.
Scene 2.
A vehicle speed reduction is required.
Scene 3.
A hard brake is required.
Scene 4.
I have sufficient time to complete a left turn.
Scene 5.
A pass is the best vehicle maneuver in this situation.
Scene 6.
A brake cover is required in this situation.
Scene 7.
Exiting the expressway was a low-risk vehicle maneuver.
Scene 8.
That bicyclist is obstructing traffic.
Scene 9.
A vehicle speed reduction is required.
Scene 10.
This is the wrong exit. A lane change is required.
Scene 11.
This is a high-risk driving area.
Scene 12.
A vehicle speed reduction is required. A pass on the right is the best vehicle maneuver in this situation.
Scene 14.
The driver of that black sedan made a high-risk pass.
Scene 15.
A pass is the best vehicle maneuver in this situation.
Scene 16.
A vehicle speed reduction is required.
Scene 17.
I have sufficient time and space to complete a left turn.
Scene 18.
I have sufficient space to pass.
Scene 19.
This is a high-risk driving area.
Scene 20.
It is safer to drive after dark than during daylight hours.
Scene 21.
A brake cover is required.
Scene 22.
That automobile driver made a high-risk turn.
Scene 23.
That was a high-risk left turn.
Scene 24.
The driver of that black vehicle is a high-risk driver.
Scene 25.
I need to reduce my vehicle speed.
The 25 traffic scenes you just viewed were selected for their driving risk characteristics. In most scenes, the traffic risk was obvious. However, in a few scenes, the risk was subtle and required quick thinking. To determine your driving risk control score, compare your response form answer with the answer shown on the video screen. For example, the risk rejection response in Scene 1 is disagree.
Disagree is the correct answer. Look at the scene again. Note that the camera vehicle driver passed 3 vans, drove in the oncoming lane for 11 seconds, and was driving left of the double yellow line at the completion of the pass. This was an illegal and very high-risk pass. If your answer for question 1 was agree, your answer was incorrect. Place a check mark in the space provided to the left of question 1 on the test answer form. If your answer was disagree, leave the space blank. Question 2, answer. Agree is the most appropriate answer. Enter a check mark if your answer is disagree. Look at the scene again. The pedestrian walking near the edge of the road is a potential hazard. Also, the oncoming vehicle will limit your evasive maneuvering space should it become necessary to evade the pedestrian. Question 3, answer. Disagree. Although the bright sun will limit your visibility, a hard brake is an incorrect and possibly hazardous reaction to the sun glare. To reduce the effect of sun glare, use the vehicle's sun visor and wear sunglasses when driving. Question 4, answer. In this scene, you demonstrated good time and space management skills if your answer was agree. Correct gap selection is a vital decision-making skill when making a left turn in traffic. Question 5, answer. Passing the jogger in this situation was an unnecessary risk. Therefore, the correct answer is disagree. If your answer was agree, you failed to respond to the 3 hazards shown in the scene: rain, the oncoming vehicle, and the unsure footing of the joggers. Remember, enter a check mark on the answer form if your answer does not agree with the answer given by the narrator. Question 6, answer. Agree. You are a cautious driver if you prepared to stop as soon as you identified the jaywalking pedestrian. Therefore, covering your brake decreased your vehicle speed, reduced your braking reaction time, alerted drivers of following vehicles, and gave you the option of making a controlled stop if the pedestrian enters your forward time and space. Question 7, answer. The correct answer is disagree. Look at the scene again. The camera vehicle driver accelerated to cross 3 lanes of expressway traffic, approached the exit ramp too fast for conditions, and tailgated the pickup truck on the exit ramp. Clearly, this was not a low-risk vehicle maneuver. Question 8, answer. Disagree. If your answer is agree, your perception of who has the right-of-way is not supported by traffic rules and regulations. Remember, bicyclists are permitted to ride on most roadways, and when they are riding on the roadways, they have the same rights and responsibilities as other highway users. Question 9, answer. Agree. Tailgating another vehicle is an example of high-risk driving behavior. Tailgating a tractor-trailer is an example of irresponsible driver behavior. For example, the camera vehicle driver in this scene is traveling at 60 miles per hour, maintaining a 1-second following distance, and has forward visibility of less than 40 feet. Traffic crash data shows that insufficient following distance is the primary reason for multi-vehicle crashes on urban expressways. Question 10, answer. Disagree. Although the driver's comment in this scene is humorous, the traffic risk concept is not. Drivers who change their mind at interstate highway exits are frequently the cause of vehicle crashes that result in injury or death. Responsible drivers recognize that entering and exiting high-speed roadways requires advanced planning and skillful vehicle control. Question 11, answer. Agree. Many drivers fail to appreciate the risk inherent to driving in a shopping center parking area. Because of reduced vehicle speed, crashes between vehicles normally do not cause personal injury. However, crashes between vehicles and people often cause serious personal injury and occasionally death. Question 12, answer. Disagree. Look at the scene again. The camera vehicle is moving approximately 40 miles per hour on the interstate highway entrance ramp. The vehicles on the interstate are traveling 60 to 70 miles per hour. Thus, to merge smoothly into the high-speed traffic, the camera vehicle driver will need to increase, not decrease, his vehicle speed. Question 13, answer. Disagree. The driver of the automobile in this scene is making a critical but not uncommon procedural error. Note that the limited turning space at the intersection requires the tractor-trailer driver to move left before turning right. In this situation, the automobile driver puts himself and his vehicle at risk when he moved in between the tractor-trailer and the curb. Question 14, answer. Agree. Note, this scene was not planned or staged. Rather, it was recorded live by the camera vehicle in a real-world driving environment. Unknowingly, the driver of the black automobile effectively demonstrated high-risk driver behavior for an audience of several thousand drivers. Question 15, answer. Disagree. In this scene, the camera vehicle driver demonstrated risk-oriented driver behavior by impatiently crossing the double line to pass the turning vehicle. Driver impatience is a primary cause of speeding, turning, and intersection right-of-way crashes. Question 16, answer. Agree is the correct answer. Although the driver of the white SUV illegally entered the roadway ahead of the camera vehicle from a right turn lane, the camera vehicle driver correctly yielded his right-of-way to the self-serving driver to avoid a possible crash. Question 17, answer.
Disagree.
Listen to the scene again. Did you hear the sound of an emergency vehicle? Where is the emergency vehicle? Is it approaching in the oncoming lane? Is it behind you? Until you identify the emergency vehicle and know which direction it is traveling, you do not have sufficient time and space to complete the left turn. Question 18, answer. Disagree. Passing the turning vehicle was not a high-risk maneuver. However, the pass did require the acceptance of limited risk. In this situation, not passing the turning vehicle may also require acceptance of limited risk. For example, while passing the turning vehicle, the van driver may decide not to turn and move forward into the side of your vehicle as you re-entered the roadway. If you do not pass, an impatient driver may crash into you from the rear. Question 19, answer. Agree. Scenic and recreational roadways are high-risk driving areas. Environmental distractions, people entering the roadway, and other drivers that cannot resist the view are all hazards in this scene. Therefore, in this area, controlling the driving risk is a demanding task that requires self-discipline and good searching skills. Question 20, answer. Disagree. The crash risk potential is approximately 4 times greater after dark than during the daylight hours. Although reduced visibility is one of the factors that increase nighttime driving risks, other factors such as drinking drivers, distracted drivers, inexperienced drivers, and excitement-seeking drivers are significant contributors to the large number of after-dark motor vehicle crashes. Question 21, answer. Agree is the most appropriate answer. If you were aggressively searching your driving environment, you identified the vehicle entering your time and space before it became an immediate hazard. You controlled the available time and space by reducing your vehicle speed and covering your brake. Question 22, answer. Agree. Because of the limited visibility, the automobile driver placed himself and others at risk. Environmental obstructions at intersections are significant contributors to motor vehicle crashes. In this scene, the risk was greater than normal because of the downhill grade and the failure of the automobile driver to accelerate quickly after pulling in front of the truck. Question 23, answer. Agree. In this scene, the camera vehicle driver demonstrated a high-risk left turn. This still scene shows that less than 50 feet separated the camera vehicle and the oncoming car during the turn. If the oncoming car is moving at 50 miles per hour, the closing time between the two vehicles is less than 2 seconds. The purpose of this scene is to emphasize the importance of gap selection when making a left turn in traffic. Question 24. Answer. Agree. Drivers incorrectly using cell phones while driving create unnecessary risks for themselves, their passengers, and other highway users. Thus, responsible drivers do not make outgoing calls while driving and use hands-free cell phones to answer incoming calls. Question 25. Answer. The most appropriate answer is disagree. You do not need to reduce your vehicle speed unless you are exceeding the speed limit. As you may know, identifying a police vehicle improves driving behavior for most drivers.
To score your driving risk control response form, count the number of check marks and enter this number in the space provided at the top of the response form. This number is your driving risk control score. The chart you see on the screen shows motor vehicle crash frequency rates when compared with driving risk control scores. Risk control scores are green, and the crash frequency is red. Essentially, the chart indicates that the higher the score, the greater the driving risk potential. These statistical observations are not surprising. Insurance company records clearly identify driver risk-taking as a major factor in motor vehicle crash causation. It is important for you to know that risk-taking is not an undesirable human characteristic. Most successful people are a product of some risk-taking. However, successful people select, limit, and control their risks. Otherwise, they would not continue to be successful. Risk acceptance or rejection is often influenced by temporary situations, conditions, or circumstances. For example, an emergency vehicle driver or police officer will normally accept greater risk on duty than off duty. Many drivers, especially young male drivers, will accept greater risk while driving alone. Most drivers reject risk when they are accompanied by their infant children. Nearly all drivers reject risk when they are being followed by a police vehicle. Driving risk acceptance does vary. However, the human factors that influence risk acceptance are relatively constant. For example, traffic crash research shows that people with aggressive behavioral characteristics are involved in significantly more motor vehicle accidents than people with moderate behavioral characteristics. However, when the driving records of individuals are examined, we find that many aggressive people, such as athletes, professional drivers, investors, and political leaders, have excellent driving records. It must be assumed, therefore, that aggressive people can and do control their risk-taking instincts when driving a motor vehicle. If your driving risk control score is 5 or less, you have come to terms with the risk of driving a motor vehicle. However, if your score is more than 5, you are inclined to take unnecessary driving risks. Yes, driving risk does come with the territory, and some risks must be accepted. However, risk selection, limitation, and control are essential to survival on the highway. You must decide what risks to accept and what risks to reject, and you must decide if the reward is worthy of the risk.